Okay, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. Little. We're here to continue with our understanding, discussion, knowledge development within this idea of digital literacy. Hopefully, you know the components of digital literacy. You've had a chance to analyze or self-assess your own digital literacy skills, highlighting your strengths and areas for improvement. Today we'll go through some key terms, facts, components of digital literacy, parts of the computer, okay? Um, you know, how memory within a computer works, how processing within a computer works, how to create networks, how the internet works. So we'll dive a little deeper into that discussion today. And once you're comfortable with the knowledge and the terminology, more specifically, you will do an online task where you go to a website and it has all the different components of a computer, and you're to identify and label them on a document for me. I'll explain that to you right now. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Perfect. So we're over here and we're looking at the tab called the computer workstation. In order to be digitally literate, we have to understand all of the different terms associated with the computer, the hardware, like the stuff I can touch, and the software, which are the programs that we use. Also, in this course, you're the CEO of your business, so you need to know about these things so you can allow your employees to be the most efficient and effective employees that they can be. So basically, you got to just listen, follow along, and try to make connections as I go through this with you. So if you're working on like a computer within, the general computer lab, let's say, and it's plugged into the wall and it stands by itself, it's called a standalone computer. Basically, the standalone computer typically has a monitor, mouse, keyboard, and the system unit. The system unit has all of the different components of the computer. Okay? When you link two computers together, so if I have a PC standalone and you have a PC standalone, and we connect them with a wire and some special software, we have what's called a network. Then I can share my stuff with you, you can share your stuff with me. That's another discussion for another day. Let's go back to this standalone PC or computer. There's four components of a computer. There's four things that computers do, or four ways that computers work. Basically, here's how it works. We put stuff into the computer. The computer does some magic. It remembers what we did, and then it gives it out. It spits out some type of output. So anytime I enter information into a computer, that's called input. Right now I'm using video to input my ideas down into a lesson. Maybe you're playing a video game and you're inputting the instructions for your player to perform a task on the video game. Maybe you're typing a message to a friend on a keyboard. You are performing the input function. Processing. Completed in this thing here, the system unit has something called the central processing unit. It's where you take what I input, which is called raw data, and convert it and then store it, okay? And the processing or system unit, so that the brain is basically the motherboard a microprocessor, okay, which kind of directs the information to the right parts of the computer. The motherboard is the brain, telling what to do with the input. The power, well, that gives it the energy. And then there's primary memory, which stores it there long term. And then there's temporary memory, like my USB. Okay. Also included in that are storage. Okay. Storage is where you can save things that can be retrieved at a later date. And then you have what's called output processes. That's basically the screen that shows you the software that you're using, or the printer that prints out the paper, or the speakers that are playing the voice that you're hearing right now. 4 components of computers. Input, think about joysticks, keyboards, okay? Processing, or think about the CPU, the motherboard, okay? Primary storage, microprocessors. Then storage, which can be either internal or external. And then output, which are the things that allow us to receive back what's been put into the computer. Hopefully that makes sense. So some specific input devices: keyboard, pointing devices such as joysticks, like you can have those laser pens, okay, touch pads, mouse, all input devices. Scanners, maybe for your business, that's an input device, okay. Magnetic card readers, input devices, okay. Image input devices, so cameras, webcams, camcorders. Audio input devices like microphones, okay. So different parts of the processing. That's where all of the data gets processed and utilized into useful information. So if I opened up that big central processing unit inside of the computer lab, you basically see a big fan to keep everything cool, a power supply, and a bunch of circuit boards. That circuit board is called the motherboard. Inside the motherboard, there's something called the microprocessor, memory, different connectors, a battery, and different chips. Maybe if you're a gamer, you might add things like sound cards, graphic cards. External storage and peripheral devices can all be attached to the motherboard. Okay? We'll work on something in a second that shows you the different components inside of a computer. Okay? You'll come to that task in a second. So along the side of your laptop, or often on the back of your central processing unit, if you have a desktop computer, you'll see a bunch of different input-output ports. This allows you to connect other things to your computer. So, you can add your printer by plugging it into maybe one of these things. You can add your USB or your external storage drive, okay? You don't need to know all of these things. Just know that these are input-output ports, okay? So now inside, if we open up the CPU, right, we're going to see a bunch of chips and kind of like it's like a database. It's like a bunch of different processors, and they conduct all of they execute all of the tasks that need to turn input into output, okay? So basically, you'll see the CPU, that's the brain. That's the Intel Pentium chip. It tells you, it tells the software what to do. So you can kind of, measure your speed. So you want, the faster the computer, the faster the gigahertz of speed. Okay? Basically now we mostly use Intel Pentium chips. So then when you do things on the computer, it's stored into memory. There's two types of memory. There's RAM, random access memory, is short term. So it works while you're using the computer, but then when you turn the computer off, it forgets about all those things. Okay? So typically computers have well, this is dated, okay? They don't have that much RAM, okay? You can add additional RAM. ROM is read-only memory. And that's permanent. That's basically, you know, what, like your operating system. Every time you turn on your computer, you want your operating system to work. You don't necessarily need all those downloads that you looked at from YouTube. You can forget that. So that'll maybe go into the RAM, whereas stuff that you need to remember will go into the ROM. All of the programs and all of the Windows and operating software will be remembered in the ROM. Okay. Then you've got output devices. Those are your monitors. Those are your, those are your speakers. Those are your printers. Okay. So there's different types of printers. Most of us now have laser printers. These are old printers. We don't need to know about those printers now. One of the things students forget about most is the most expensive part of a printer is the ink, not the printer itself. Okay? When you print something out, that's called a hard copy. A soft copy is one that you're constantly kind of making edits to. All right? You can read that on your own time. And then there's different types of software. So software would include things like Excel, PowerPoint, Slides, Word, Docs. It's instructions that tell the computer what to do. There's application software and operating system software. Windows and iOS are operating system software. Google, Chrome, Explorer, Word, Docs, those are all application software. Okay, so you don't need to really go much further. This is basically a diagram showing how everything works. The operating system is the liaison between input and output devices. Okay? So I've gone through the important things. Here's what I need you to do for this lesson. Over here, there's a tab called Inside the Computer. Go to the assignment. Bear with me. You're going to go to this link. Bear with me here, sorry. I want to make sure that it's clear and we all know what we're doing. Okay, look, you go to this link. Shows you all the different parts inside the CPU. All right, list them, label them, and you're done for today. Okay, I've posted the link, but it's also available here right on the assignment. Alrighty, let's save and close that. I will make sure that I've gone through everything for you. So it was more of a detailed lesson today, looking at input, output, processing, and storage. Okay, components of digital literacy. Know different types of input and output devices. Okay, know the difference between ROM and RAM. Okay, understand that the CPU is the liaison between the input and the output device. Okay, make sure that's clear. Go into the assignment. Go to the website, identify the different components of the CPU, save it, submit it. Okay? And that'll be it for today. Okay? Thank you so much. I'll stop recording now. Everyone take care.